Hi, welcome to the 1 in 20 show. I'm your host, Evan Rogers, and today I'm joined by Santa Clarita's very own singer and songwriter, Karli Webster. She's a very talented and hardworking individual who has a beautiful voice and commanding stage presence. The word that comes to mind is effortless. She truly has worked her whole life for this. She is here to chat about her time on NBC's The Voice and her brand new EP coming soon. Karli, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Where did your love for the music, for music and the arts start? Because I know you've done it your whole life.
Yeah, it's been my whole life. My dad was in some heavy metal Christian bands when I was growing up, and so I have really early memories of being at his shows, and he would always play piano, and I would always try to play piano as a little toddler, climbing in between his legs and trying to press the keys. And so when I was 4 years old, my dad kind of thought it would be a good idea if I started taking piano lessons. And so I did that from age 4 to 18. I trained classically, and I competed all throughout California and did that, and that kind of got me into songwriting. I wrote my first song when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
It was called Courage. And I won a little competition with that, and that kind of sparked songwriting for me.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I did theater growing up. So it's just kind of it's been my whole life.
That's wonderful.
I've never had a time in my life where music wasn't the focus for me.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and music is such a big part of my life, even just listening, not even from a writing perspective, but just listening and what it can do for you and give you courage and confidence and happiness throughout the day and everything you do. So I want to segue now kind of into The Voice. What made you want to audition? What was the time of life you were in? Because you're 21, you just shared with me. So where were you at in life, school and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I've actually always had a super strong work ethic, and I've always done well in school, and that was kind of just the way that I was raised. I had to do well in school, I had to work hard. And so at the time that I auditioned for The Voice, I was not pursuing music at all. I was going to USC full time and working at Starbucks. And I was just kind of preparing for my backup plan, which is to work in the music industry somehow. And that's just always been the way that I've lived. Beef up my backup plan, and then someday I'll be able to do music. And auditioning for The Voice was something that I never thought I was going to do ever. And my mom, anytime there was a open call thing to come out where they wanted people to audition, she would always send it to me and always wanted me to do it. But I always was kind of afraid of what would happen if I did.
Sure.
So.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Because there's two sides. I was afraid of the failure, but then again, it was who cares? Which was my ultimate realization. Who cares if I fail? Right. But then also the whole questioning of well, I've been working so hard on this, going to school and working. That's been my plan. What happens when I have to not do that anymore? That fear of the unknown. So.
Well, what did you start? Sides. Did you start in a different? Because I thought you mentioned you were doing music. Something. What was the name of your major?
I study music industry, and I always thought that I'd be working behind the scenes. I'm really into marketing and communications, and I love the business aspect of music, and I've always been super interested in that. So there's never been any issue in my mind of doing that. I still think that would be a great place to go down. But I've always been a singer and songwriter at heart, so I was always kind of doing myself an injustice by not doing that.
Yeah. That's really neat. So then when you finally chose to go, what went behind that? Because if you had been getting those open call things from your mom, you should go.
Finally, I think she sent me one, and it was in Las Vegas. The open call was in Las Vegas. And I had the weekend free, and so I thought, why not? The worst they can do is tell me no.
To tell you no, yeah.
So we went to Vegas. I decided the song I was going to sing for my audition. While I was about to sing the song, I was not prepared at all. Oh my gosh. I was really not prepared.
That's the thing that they tell you never to do.
Yeah, is I did it.
That's funny. Even for musical theater auditions and stuff, they tell you never change your song. You need to pick your song and stick to it. Never change it last minute.
Yep. I did all of that. I couldn't think of something. There's so many songs running through my head, and it's a really important decision when you go on something like The Voice. Because it kind of it puts you in a place of the type of songs that you're
right.
going to be singing if you move along. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I decided
and
in the moment.
Just how long did you have to wait? Was there a lot of people?
Oh my goodness. It's a crazy wait process. I think that I was like in the back of what felt like a 2-mile long line to get in.
Gosh. Were you in was it an indoor or were
it was at the Las Vegas Convention Center, and I swear I've never seen so many people in my life. Like it
were
was
you
so
sweating
packed.
like crazy? Was it outdoor or inside?
It was inside,
okay,
so
good.
that was nice.
Nice.
But I was still sweating.
It gets hot. It gets so hot there. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. But I actually made a lot of friends at that
cool.
first thing that I still keep in touch with.
Oh, that's
wonderful. And I met a
wonderful.
lot of great artists.
Did any of them make it on?
No, which was so shocking to me because I got to hear them sing and they were so amazing. And that's like, it's just, that alone is telling of how many other incredible artists were in that room, but didn't get that opportunity. So.
And really it's more didn't make the TV cut because honestly, like, we chatted about that even before we were starting this episode. Like, it's all based on, does the look and the voice, no pun intended, but does the look and the voice actually match up to what we need, right? And there's probably hundreds of artists. How long did you have to wait?
It was probably about 2 or 3 hours of waiting.
Mm-hmm. Were you closer to the front, or was this just like everybody had to wait that?
Everyone basically had to wait that long. Okay. I mean, whether you got there like before the sun came up, like you're still waiting. Like, and there were people that did that.
Oh, I'm sure. Probably people who camped out, no doubt.
Right.
It's funny. Have you ever seen the episode of The Office, like toward the end? I think it's like season 9, and like Andy's character goes, and it's like a mock. It's like a total joke on like American Idol and stuff, and like, oh, we're so excited, and it's this massive line, and he dresses up like an old person and like tries to say, oh, I should get it. It's so funny. We're not making this episode about exposing all of the bad things about The Voice or all the things you don't get to see, obviously, because you got to do a lot of wonderful things, but once you got past that initial first round, when did you actually hear, like, oh, we want you to be on? And
okay, that process took about, I'd say about 4 months of more auditions, and
were you doing self-tapes and stuff like that, or was it like in person?
No, it was all in person.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had to show up to the studio in Burbank, and there were a bunch of other talented people that were flown in there. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
you mean as a panelist, or do you mean like actual talent?
Actual talent.
Wow.
Yeah, they flew people in from all over the country to come to these auditions, and
oh my gosh.
It was so bizarre to be a part of because I mean, going to that original open call audition, I obviously was expecting nothing.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of taking it all in for what it was, and I was grateful for every minute of it, regardless of how far I got. But yeah, I'd say about 4 months until I was at Starbucks one day and I got a phone call from one of the producers saying, hey, you're getting a blind audition.
Wow.
So.
And that's crazy because so would you say like four different auditions or more after?
Probably more than 4 because
that's just what you don't see on camera. It's like, oh, these people probably just got lucky and got to go blind audition that day, but you don't know the thousands and thousands of people that they have to weed through. And my gosh, casting that show must be insane.
Well, and it's not just singing. Like I had to do multiple like personality interviews, and that was a really big aspect of the show. Like
personality interviews.
Personality is huge for them.
They're that serious about you being an icon.
I mean, it makes sense because they want people on the show who genuinely want to be artists. Like they want people on the show who want to pursue a music career,
which is kind of neat, right? To have that. At least they stand for that.
Absolutely, yeah. So that part is great, and so they want someone who is personable, and they want someone who will make good TV. Yeah. So that's I totally get that. So they got to do their thing.
Gosh, that's nuts. So then, how many? So about like you say, like 4 months later, you got the call.
4 months later, I got the call.
And then from there, when was your actual audition down at Universal? They were at Universal at that point, I think, right? The Voice, like the stage and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
When was that?
Well,
so 4 months you got a call. And
after 4 months, I got a call. But all that meant was that I was going to the blind audition process. So what that entailed was they had basically narrowed down to 100 people for the blind auditions. And that, it sounds like, I don't know what that number sounds like to you, but basically only 48 people will get chair turns. And so there's 100 people that is going to be cut in half.
Do they all get screen time?
No. I mean, if you
and
watch
how many episodes do they do of blind auditions? Because I know it's a couple.
I'm not entirely sure how many,
right.
But
it's a massive process.
Yeah, basically they have to go through 48 auditions, but you're really, in total, you're probably only going to see about like 55 of them, when in reality there were about 100 of really talented artists who didn't get the chair turns, and you didn't even get to see them. Well,
so then at that point too, like you mentioned, there were even people at the original auditions who that you got to go out to the open call for that were worthy of being on. And at that point, I feel like it could be demoralizing to a lot of people, but I'm sure you just can't think of it that way, because you have to like know your value still. And you can't let TV determine.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course. I'm sure, and I think everyone kind of understands that it is TV. At least everyone should understand that.
Yeah, totally.
But so when it became 100 of us trying to do that blind audition, we were living in a hotel for a month in Burbank.
Oh, wow.
So like right down the street, but I was
Did
living
they pay
at home.
for all of that?
Yeah, they paid for all of that. So I was living out of a hotel in Burbank, and that whole month consisted of like vocal training, and you were given your blind audition song. In that time, so you're rehearsing, and you do stage rehearsals and a bunch of interviews, a bunch of wardrobe, like going to wardrobe and trying on a bunch of clothes.
Wow, so they had you go through all of that.
And they made all 100 people go through that. So that's a full month of really getting your hopes up.
That just shows how much funding is behind the show, because
absolutely.
the amount of crew and people that takes to actually schedule out all of the time for all of you guys to go in and to. I can't believe they had staging rehearsals. That to me is nuts, because I feel like it almost might be of value to them to let you guys just kind of go out there, because that might even be more terrifying.
I'm glad they gave us stage rehearsal.
My goodness. I mean, you can talk about it now, because you were mentioning the day of when you went out there that you like almost tripped on the stairs.
Oh, I did trip.
You did trip.
Yeah.
And what was the whole feeling like there? I mean, you had now that people have context, you had rehearsed a lot.
Yeah.
And you had staged it, and you still
you're still really nervous.
You still don't even have a guaranteed shot.
Absolutely. Yeah, and actually what the TV didn't show on my audition too was I went on the very, very, very last day. So when you watch the show, it makes it look like all of these blind auditions happened in one day, when that is not true at all. It happens
over a week? Or
it's over a week.
1 week.
So there's a full week of these auditions, and each day people are being taken out, and you don't see them again, and you don't know what their fate is.
And you've been living with
you just made all these best friends, and they're just gone. So
how sad.
It's like a summer camp, but I was on the very last day. And
what number were you on that list? Like, how many people were on that day? Was it like 20?
There were about 14 of us.
14.
Might have been less.
Were you at the bottom of even that
list? It's interesting. I was at the bottom of the list originally. Like, I was supposed to be last, like, of the entire day. And then somehow I got switched.
Did you
get moved up?
Wow.
And I ended up going third instead of last. But I remember even my family, because they were on the sidelines watching, and they were convinced that I was going to be last. And then suddenly they're like, just kidding, Karli's going now. So something happened.
Was it a last second thing that they told you that, the producers or whatever?
Well, yeah, because I was preparing to just like, I was preparing for all of the teams to be full, and it just wasn't going to happen. But, I had a great month, so whatever. But I was able to go third that day, and the two people ahead of me both made teams, and so the pressure was on that I had to make it too.
Oh my gosh.
But at the time, both Blake Shelton's team and Jennifer Hudson's team were completely full. So my only chance were with Miley or with Adam, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen, so it was like,
well, walk me through now. So what was the order of events to tripping on the stage and then actually getting out there? What was like the whole
it was pretty fast.
Was
like they kind of because it's pre-taped, it's not live television. They can kind of just do their own schedule.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So I remember I was waiting to go on as one of my really good friends was going right before me, and she got a chair turn, and so I was cheering her on, and then immediately was like, oh my gosh, I'm I'm going right now.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, I walked on stage. I tripped. I heard Carson Daly laugh at me from across the stage. It's like, okay, this is a great start.
Oh my gosh. That's like, that again, that's probably demoralizing too. You're like, oh shoot. Yeah, here we go. Going downhill.
But that honestly kind of like relaxed me because it helped me realize like, okay, this is just one little thing that I'm doing in my life. And if it doesn't work out, there's a lot that can happen. So
took you out of the heat of the moment.
Tripping on stage was a great moment.
It's like a humbling experience.
Yeah.
I know, I kind of know what that feeling's like too. Even just like walking up the stairs of my house every once in a while, I'll trip. Like when even just when I'm like thinking highly about something, and it's like, just it wakes you up and you're like, okay. I should not, what am I doing? So anyway, when you got out there and you started going and singing, you know, you just had said it's like almost immediate. Like it just, you're out there and it starts.
Yeah.
And
there's nothing
does the band cue you in, and then all of a sudden, like they just wait for you to come on and they start playing?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they kind of just, I mean, there's monitors and they'll say like, okay, we're going to go. And it's like, you have to be ready to go or not.
Wow.
So yeah, you just kind of.
It's real life. That's how it is, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
The song starts and you have to sing. So started singing. I'm pretty sure my mind went completely blank the entire time.
Yeah, one of those experiences, right?
Yeah, especially when
even though there's like a captive audience that they force to say applause, you know, and all that stuff. But wow. And then they turned, right? What was that experience like?
I wish I could tell you, but I really, like, my mind completely went blank. I forgot in like a quick half second, I forgot that I had to finish the song. Wow. So that was a great little second of like, oh, I'm good. I can just stop singing. And then it's like, oh wait, no, this is going to be on TV. I have to finish the song.
Well, and to your credit too, it looked, like I said, like earlier, it looked very effortless, which I think is,
thank you.
Which shows that maybe it's just in your blood, you know, like you've had in those moments when you have to go out and perform. I'm sure it didn't get any easier the more you, like the other episodes that you had to sing. But I'm sure that a lot of that energy and the talent that came out of you in that moment was just repetition and repetition and repetition, because your mind goes blank, like you said.
Yeah, it's like 95% a blur. But I remember not really knowing what to do with the microphone, and I felt like, oh god, I'm gonna look so awkward, but whatever. Just roll with it. Because I didn't care. I was so happy that I didn't really care what happened after that.
Was it as fast as it shows on TV? Was it like instant?
Oh, when they hit the button?
Yeah, when they turn around.
Oh, yeah, they can't fake that.
I was going to say, that seems like they couldn't really.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. So that was
amazing.
A really neat moment. But they actually, what is shortened is the time that they talk afterward. Because I was basically standing there and talking with all of the coaches for like probably a half hour after I sang.
Your audition?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
how wonderful.
They gave me a bunch of feedback.
Now you're talking even before you choose, they all share feedback?
before I chose, I got to talk with all of them. We had kind of this like really cool fluid conversation
just
about songwriters.
Yeah.
Well, I was just standing up there.
Standing up there.
And then I had to choose.
Wow. So. Okay, so now we got to get into that is when, you know, Miley and Adam both turned at the same time. What was your, like, how do you, that's the irony is like, you've already had so much prep, months of prep to just audition. Yeah. And then your whole fate is determined by you still picking which one you want to choose. That's kind of a cool opportunity. Like, I'm sure chatting with them was great too. Yeah. But like, I'm saying like, it must be cool that I like that part of the show. That you get to at least you get to choose a celebrity coach to work with. Like, I know you're going to talk about that later, but Adam or Miley, what was going through your head?
Oh my goodness. From the beginning, I was pretty dead set on Miley. Like that was, I just felt like her and I had similar personalities. I thought like,
Hannah Montana.
We'll be best friends. Hannah Montana. I loved Hannah Montana.
I watched that growing up. I'm sure that's what you were thinking.
Well, I always thought like she was a cool person, and she went through a super crazy phase, but
seems like she's a little more grounded now. Yeah. I mean, otherwise I don't think they would have asked her to be a judge
on a family friendly show. But from the very, very beginning, it was like Miley all the way. Like, no question about it. I'm just going to pick her. We're going to be best friends. It's going to be awesome. But when I was talking to them, and she gave me a lot of insight that I was like, dang, like, you're the one. And she was bringing up songwriters that I love, and songwriters that, like, she would get me in touch with to, like, work with, and just kind of framing up this whole idea for me that I was super into. And then Adam started talking, and my mind changed for a lot of it. I was totally conflicted. It was like I was dead set on Miley, but now Adam is sounding
he's amazing. His career is amazing. Like,
I was thinking about everything you could possibly think of in that moment, but I knew in the end I just had to go with my gut. And I did, and I picked Miley, and that was that.
Wow. So then what happens following that? Like, so you said you, like, chatted with all of them for a while, and then obviously they made the cut where you had to pick one or two.
So I was still, like, I still had to be, like, camera ready, and but I was losing it. I was so excited, and they film you, like, meeting up with your family, and and mind you, I hadn't seen my family all month. So it was like a reunion there.
Wonderful
and then the
experience.
super exciting things happening. So that was,
did Miley come and
nuts.
meet your family and stuff? Like, did they come out? I can't remember.
No, she didn't do that. She did that with some people, but she did pull me aside before I went to my family, and we talked a little bit more. And
what did you remember anything she said?
Well, she was telling me more about, like, what she wants to do with me, and, like, where she sees me going, and that was really neat. I really liked that. And then I met with my family, and then I had to do some fun little social media stuff with The Voice, and then I was able to go home and celebrate.
Wow.
Oh, and then I had to get, like, a schedule and stuff, because my whole life was about to change.
Because now you're a property of The Voice for a while. Yeah. Well, that's amazing. I mean, I said at the beginning we weren't going to talk about The Voice the whole time. We've already talked 20 minutes about it. So, the following weeks that you were on, you know, and I think you had did you have 3 more performances?
Yeah, I made it to the playoff round, which is like the top 24.
Top 20. That's pretty good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I don't know what's the total that they pick. It's more than that though. It's definitely originally it's like
originally it's 48. So I
48.
basically made
halfway
the 50%
through.
cut. Yeah.
But that's still pretty awesome. And it's within the team, right? It was within Miley's team that you were facing off, or was it other teams? I can't remember how
it was
worked.
Just within the team.
Okay.
So yeah, as far as I got, it was all within the team. And it looks like it just happens within a couple weeks, but that whole process probably took about 3 more months.
Oh my gosh.
Of filming and prepping for all of those episodes.
Well, and it's cool. I was going to mention too, like I went on YouTube and I, like, combined a total of your 4 performances, and it like totaled out to like 6,923,000 views. Oh. If you put all of them together. Right. Because your audition alone had like 2.5 million.
Dang, that's a cool number.
Did you not know that?
I didn't know that.
I would have been vain and looked at all the stats. That would have been me. But anyway, that must be really neat. We can kind of just chat. Maybe if you want to share a little bit about how the playoffs went and how leaving was. We don't have to go into all of everything, but how did that kind of jumpstart you? Because I know that you ended up meeting that producer. What's your producer's name helping you with the album?
Oh, my producer's name is Dennis Herring.
Yeah.
And he's really great.
2-time Grammy award winner.
2-time Grammy.
Is he a producer? Just a producer, or is he?
Well, he actually started as a guitarist, and he played with Madonna. Like, he was Madonna's main guitarist.
Wow.
Like, as she was getting big, and so he's played guitar for everyone, and then he kind of got into producing, and he's produced a lot of my favorite artists. And
Rah Rah Riot, I saw that.
Rah Rah Riot,
and then
Animal Collective, Waves, Modest Mouse.
Modest Mouse, I saw that one too.
Elvis Costello.
Oh, really? Yeah. Wow, how neat. So he's been around for a while then.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, if he was doing stuff with Madonna when she was huge, it's been a while. But how did the Voices, like, platform? How did that kind of propel your move toward having him as your, you know, producer and all that stuff for your album? And did you land him because of that, or was it? You can go into all of whatever you want.
I mean, I was totally not expecting anything to come from the show. I was so thankful for the friends that I made and just the experience that I got, because I learned so much. I was not expecting a following at all. So all of it was brand spanking new to me. I think before the show I had like 300 followers on Instagram,
Yeah.
and I have a little bit more than that now. So I'm not good at keeping track.
Well, and you mentioned too that those fans have been pretty genuine
Oh my goodness.
fans.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely people come and go, but the ones
Yeah,
that have
sure.
stayed have been really, really awesome. And I'm so grateful for all of that. So that was definitely a huge change.
Yeah.
Was just dealing with that, because that's social media is a whole world that I'm brand new to and don't really understand quite
the whole
yet.
dynamic. It's kind of weird.
And now it's like my business.
It's kind of, me and Peter were chatting about it before we even started today. It's kind of like it's such a demeaning thing, like for people who get so into their image, and like, not that I'm sure you have to focus on that with your music, but at the, that it's almost, for you, I feel like it's almost defining what you want to be as an artist. But I'm saying, like, these models and people who make that their life, and
my
they're
goodness,
so consumed by their following.
Well, no, it's kind of bizarre. Crazy. It's bizarre how that's just become, that is a business, and that's like a huge business, especially for people our age. That's what people do, and that's what people aspire to do.
The new generation.
Yeah. So aside from that, I gained a nice following of people, and I was able to start a Kickstarter to raise money for an album, because it costs a lot of money to make an album.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I have a super awesome manager who was able to make some really cool connections, and he was the one who kind of was able to touch base with Dennis as a potential producer. But I mean, he had to want to work with me for that to work out. And so he had seen my stuff on The Voice and had heard some of my music and wanted to make it happen.
That's
so
awesome.
that's how that happened. So it wasn't directly correlated with The Voice, but I don't think I would have had the opportunity to work with someone like him without The Voice.
Well, and that's, to be honest, would you rather have like a fickle following of people, like just even the view count that we chatted, and how that doesn't even always transfer over with a big platform? You would imagine that these huge platforms like The Voice would just automatically get you a career. And that's just not always the case, right? You still have to work at it. And now we can like kind of backpedal just a little bit. If you wanted to share a little bit about what it was like going home from the show. You can even share, if you want, a little bit about like how you mentioned them choosing your music for you, and what that process was like for you as an artist, and how you didn't feel like it was 100% your actual niche or your vision for your career.
I mean, I take fault for that. I think if someone were to go on the show, like, advice for anyone who wants to do it, it's really important to know what kind of artist you want to be before doing something like The Voice. And since I hadn't pursued music before, I wasn't totally sure about that. I mean, I knew that I loved writing music, and that's what I wanted to do, but I didn't exactly know where I was supposed to go, like where my lane was. And so I wasn't entirely sure, and the show wanted to help out with that and give me a type of lane, and I had no problem going with that.
Okay. Yeah,
but
that makes a little more sense.
Looking back, I wish that I had a little bit more.
Right. Because now now I could see just kind of how that ambiguity may have like bit you in the butt.
Yeah. So that
was
my
show,
bad.
but that didn't matter now, because now you're kind of doing your own thing, right?
Yes. So I'm able to do my own thing, and working with a producer like Dennis has really helped shape my music and help shape my path now.
Is he 100% supportive of like your vision and everything?
Yeah.
That I'm sure makes it wonderful.
So the dynamic is great, because it's actually music that I've always dreamed of making, and I'm not really worried about fitting the mold that I was in on The Voice. So
well, and we talked about it a little bit beforehand, and that's even TV music. Like that's not 100%. I mean, it is the music industry, but like in a way you're doing it for ratings, and they are, at least, you know, corporate is doing that for ratings and all that stuff. But what was it like having your songs like chosen for you? I know you just kind of chatted about that a little bit, but and how much time did you have to prep before an episode? Because I don't think that's ever like said. Is it a while, or is it?
You basically have. I mean, it varied. It varied from episode to episode and what the schedule was like. But you had about 2 weeks to prep. But that includes, like, you have to go in the studio and record it. You have to go to a bunch of vocal rehearsals with, and they have an amazing vocal coach on staff.
Oh, that's
that
cool.
is not your celebrity coach, but is an amazing vocal coach. So you're working on that a lot. You're doing staging, rehearsals, wardrobe, all that stuff that you do the entire time.
Sure.
So you have about 2 weeks. But yeah, you're given the song. And there is some room to put forward what you would like to do.
Sure.
But there is not a guarantee that you will get to do that. Because they do have a mindset of what they want you to be and what they want the world to see.
Do they come with like a list of options, or is it like, here's your song for the week?
They have a list of options.
Okay.
For most of it. I mean, there were 2 rounds, 3, including my blind audition, where I had no say at all. The only one where I had somewhat of a say was the knockout round, where I sang Blue Bayou.
Yes.
But that wasn't even necessarily something
I would have picked. That was
for,
your last performance, wasn't it?
No, it was my second to last performance.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
My last performance was a country song, and I'm not a country singer.
Right.
But yeah,
you did well on it though. I think it
thank
sounded
you.
really well. Like I think I could see you being able to succeed in that genre, but like I'm sure that the stuff that you have coming is what you're really really wanting to do.
Yeah, that's a sweet compliment, because I was really, really sick that day. I had to sing a country song. Yeah, I had a fever.
Your voice, to me, like your voice, and what was unique about it is it like the effortless thing. It just doesn't even come across like you're putting any effort in, and it's just so clear and easy to listen to. And that's like
so sweet.
I wanted to compliment you on that, as well as like your enunciation and everything is wonderful.
Thank you.
Like it's very easy to hear and listen to, and I think that might be why you have a great following now too. Is maybe that's why a lot of those people that are following you now just transferred over. You know, they saw. Well, I don't know.
You.
I'm a huge advocate for us that are still like up and coming, because I feel like in a way, like you've had a huge platform in The Voice, but in a way with your album,
it's brand new,
and you still have to promote the heck out of it. And so I wanted to get into that now. What was it like coming back to Santa Clarita, Los Angeles area, after being on the show, and like what were your first moves? Because the timeline's all messed up now, because we talked about you getting your producer. But anyway, just kind of coming back, like what was your goal to start?
Oh man, it was such a whirlwind. I did not know what to expect when the show started airing, because there was a gap of time between when I finished filming and when the show was going to air. So that was a total just limbo area of like, this crazy thing's about to happen, but I don't know what's going to happen when that happens. So I was waiting for the show to air, and then the show started airing, and things kind of went nuts for a bit. And I was just kind of taking it all in the moment. I loved every minute of it. I was playing shows. I had that opportunity, and I had some really great opportunities. Like I got to go meet Karli Simon.
Oh, that's neat. You talked about her being an inspiration.
Yeah,
and all that
so
stuff.
I got to go meet her, and all of these opportunities that were coming my way, I was just saying yes to everything and loving every minute of it. But ultimately, in the back of my head, it's like, okay, like I have to think forward. Like I have to really think about this. But there was so much good happening, and I didn't want to let it just pass me by. So
and then you got asked to come co-host for like the end of The Voice and stuff
that was
during
a lot of fun.
all of that too, right?
Right, yeah. NBC
cool.
called me up and called up one of my other friends who was on the show, and we got to do that.
Oh, that's neat.
So I basically got to hang out with all my friends from the show.
But that's kind of cool.
End of it.
That's kind of cool that you got to kind of return.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for that. That was so much fun.
Because you're like, well, now I kind of have the platform, and now I'm going to do my own thing, but I could still come back. And that's really neat. That's really, really cool.
It was a lot of fun.
So how is the whole album coming? Because it's an EP, right? Is that what you're going to release first?
Yeah, it is a 5-song EP.
Awesome. How long has it been in the works?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's been in the works for like, what month is it? It's been in the works for
August,
like 6-7 months.
Okay. Beginning of the year, basically.
Yeah. Finding a producer was actually like the biggest challenge. It took a while to find the right fit.
Right.
But I'm thankful for the wait. So that was quite a long wait, but it was a good one.
Well, and I'm sure it felt good to, because I hear you, because it's like there's points where you could easily have just found a friend and went and recorded. But there's a point where you realize like your quality and your image has to like step up.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that's what you were thinking.
Yeah, that
landing
was
him.
everything has been super strategic and well thought out. And I believe if it takes some time, like really good things take some time, and I'm willing to be patient just to see what happens. And the opportunity to work with Dennis just felt so right. So after a few months or a few long months of waiting, I've been working with him for about a little over 2 months now, and the songs are moving along, and I just finished tracking all my vocals for him, and it's pretty nuts. I've been learning a lot.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Are you recording down like Hollywood area, or is it out here?
It's in downtown LA.
Downtown LA.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Is it like is it different to start putting all your thoughts like down like into like when you're making your songs? Is it weird to perform them in like a studio session? I know you mentioned you did that a little bit with the voice, but like this is like a real producer, and like it's not a part. You're doing your thing. You're not a part of a show. You're doing your own thing. That must be really cool.
I think the weirdest part of that is rediscovering songs that I've written years and years and years ago, because basically Dennis helped me pick the songs for the album. Like we worked together on what songs would be the
your
best
originals,
fit.
right?
Yeah. So we went through like 20 of the songs that I've written and picked the top 5. And it was really interesting that one of the songs is a song that I wrote when I was, I think, 17 years old. And I mean, a lot has changed since I was 17. And so that was really interesting to revisit a song that I wrote when I was in a completely different mindset than I am now.
Yeah. I'm sure you didn't think that it had a future or anything.
Oh, no, not at all. I was like, I was a child when I wrote that. What am I going to do with that? But I'm learning my own music again, and it's pretty nuts.
Well, and very different, like you mentioned. Like it's going to be a new style than people know you for. Is that correct? I can't remember what
but it is. Yeah. It's a new style than I think what people are expecting. It's very pop, with kind of an alternative, inspiration. But
it's like an indie.
Yeah, it's definitely indie pop. But it's the kind of music that I've always dreamed of making. So it's very
That's amazing. Neat. And I'm curious too, like is the goal to kind of reach a certain audience? Are you trying to hit pop culture stuff, or are you trying to just do your music and just
I'm just doing my music, and whoever it reaches, that's who it's supposed to reach.
The most genuine you could be, to be honest. That's the most genuine artist, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, the whole reason I make music, and I think a lot of other people make music, is because you tell stories, and the music that I write is very personal to me, and it's basically my life, and the whole reason I do music is because I love connecting with people, and I love performing and feeling something with other people. And so if my music can do that, I don't care how old you are, that's a job well done.
Exactly. I mean, if you that makes it more like, even going back to the point where you have, you know, with The Voice, you have just this broad audience that maybe not all of them really care. And it's almost better to have like a really strong small following that contributes and all that stuff, and then you build that bigger and bigger because it started genuinely and totally uniquely with the people that are supporting you, right? What goes through your head when you write? Like, what are your inspirations? Like, I want to get past all of the like superficial stuff. Like, what are the things that cause you to write a song or to express yourself like through your music?
I mean, me writing a song, it could happen like over a course of like 3 months, and I'll finish a song, or it can happen like in a moment. I mean, one of the songs that I have on the album is a song that I wrote about having panic disorder. And it is a song that I actually wrote in the middle of a panic attack. In the middle of the night, I woke up and I had a panic attack, and I wrote this song. So like it's completely
it's a real thing. I mean, Jimmy Moreno, who was on the last episode, chatted about how he struggled with, he has diagnosed anxiety, and was chatting about that. And I empathized with him because I've had a lot of those moments as well.
Right.
And I don't know how you would describe it, but like, it's so hopeless. You feel like you don't know if you're going to live.
You're dying. Yeah. No, that was probably my most interesting songwriting experience, because it is kind of all over the place when I write a song. It's just, I'll be in the car. That's a good spot. I'll be in the car writing a song without even realizing it. And then I'll get home and I have a song done. And I didn't even realize I was feeling all these things until I finished the song. And
it's like organically coming out of you when you don't force yourself to sit down.
Yeah, those are I think the best songs for me. But I mean, every songwriter has a different process. But for me, everything's super personal and just super in the moment. And writing a song about having anxiety while having an anxiety attack was something that happened.
Yeah, I mean, that could definitely be the most true moment in expression.
Right, but it's actually a super upbeat song. So
is it really?
It actually is.
That's really neat. That's really cool.
About anxiety.
Yeah, but that's neat. Like you got it out of your system.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that was something you had to say.
No, and
doubt, right?
that's always been how songwriting has been for me growing up. Since I was 5, it's always been about if I had a bad day, I would go home and write about the bad day that I had, or if I have a good day, I'll go home and write about the good day that I had. And that's always been my release growing up, always.
I'm curious too, because like when I go to write like film, like if I'm writing something for film or something like that, I typically channel the negativity.
Right.
I'm more slide into more of a pessimistic approach when I look, just my outlook.
I mean, everyone does.
Everybody does now. I feel like now everybody does.
Right.
Twitter's like a horrible place to be for if you're trying to be positive. It's hard to be on Twitter. Yeah.
You can look at it multiple ways. I mean, especially looking at just music as it's gone through the decades. Back in the 50s, there were such stupid songs that are so happy and you love them so much, but lyrically they don't have any depth or meaning, and they're really hard to connect to. Whereas I feel like as time has changed, we as a society are a lot more open to expressing pain and connecting with other people about pain, which is actually a really beautiful thing. Yeah. And so I think channeling that, I know it's hard because I mean, songwriting, it's like, well, I have all these sad songs, like where's the happy one? Right. But I think it's kind of neat how it's a lot more acceptable to connect with someone over feeling down instead of having to just put on a happy face and act like that's all there is. Because I mean, back in the day, that's kind of how it was, probably. I don't know.
I wouldn't know either. But yeah, I mean, our grandparents, that stage probably was, I mean, it's just a different time, right? Like the 50s and 40s, I almost feel like was almost a worse environment because you couldn't open up and speak about things.
Exactly.
People kept it quiet.
Yeah.
Which, that's exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's better. To me, that seems worse. I would rather have things out on the table. But, like, I think the forms of negativity that you're able to just connect with in your life, like realize, those are the moments that I feel you really learn how to find the light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, absolutely. And especially with film and with music, just kind of letting someone know that, like, hey, I'm going through the same thing you are. That is so reassuring, and that's the point of art to me, is to connect with someone and to let them know, like, I felt the same way you have felt.
Is that your mission with your music as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. I hope that there's at least one song on this EP that someone can be like, I have been there too. And I just making people not feel alone. I think that's why we go to concerts, to be around other people and to enjoy the same thing. So I think all art is about that connection between people, and I just want people to connect with my music.
Exactly. And I said this in the last episode too, but this show, I really want to get past that surface layer, because I feel there's so many artists that wish in interviews, especially because I know you've done many, just with the voice and stuff too, but they don't give you enough time to say what you want to say about your music or to say exactly what you want to say. I mean, that to me is what I hope that this show becomes, a place where people can say that.
You're doing a great job.
Oh, thanks. I'm trying, I guess. I don't know. But getting below that surface layer, because people are interested in people. That's my mission for this show, is young up and coming people, or people who have already reached some, area of fame, that get to actually share about the true things about what they're doing. Right. Before you play, because I know you're going to play a song, what song are you going to play from your EP? Can you say the name? I mean, you're going to perform it, so.
Yeah, the song is called Anyone, and it's actually the first song that I wrote when I got kicked off The Voice.
Really? Very interesting.
And it was like a super strange, reflective time where I was kind of just looking back at my whole life, and I didn't know what was going to happen, and the next part of my life, but I was just kind of looking back and thinking about all the people that kind of told me who I needed to be and told me whether I was good enough or not. And so this song is kind of a reflection on that. Yeah. And coming to the realization that you don't need anyone to tell you who you are. Like, they're all going to be wrong.
The truest expression of yourself is what comes organically out of you. It's kind of like the epitome of our interview so far.
So the song is, I don't need anyone. I mean, of course you need people in your life, but you don't need anyone to tell you who you are. So that's the song.
Wonderful. I wanted to give you a moment to tell the viewers out there. I know you have a show at the local that's on the 15th, and I don't know if this episode's going to be released by then.
Okay.
But she has a show on the 15th.
I mean, hey, August 15th. If that'll be before then. But besides that, I'm working on the EP and focusing on the album, which should be out at the end of fall. So stay tuned for that.
And are you playing more local shows that possibly hoping to?
Yeah, I would like to. I've just been so focused on studio time, and that's it's my baby. So that's where I'm at all the time. But I love performing. So anytime that I am able to, I'm going to. But I don't have anything planned besides next week.
That's awesome anyway. But okay, so we're about to go to a break, and we'll return with Karli and her music. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at 1 in 20 Show. We're trying to build a small following, an army of people if we can. We've got a lot of really exciting people coming on in the future that I can't disclose yet, but we're really excited to build this platform. So we'll be right back.
Hello and welcome back. I'm going to be playing an original song for you that will be on my debut EP, and the song is called Anyone. You said I wasn't pure enough. You said my edges were too rough. The things I put my heart in were just too damn rotten. But I don't need anyone at all. So I'm not good enough for your play. You adults, so childlike in your way. Well, your pity party's over. Don't you dare claim any fame. 'Cause I don't need anyone at all. Sister, you said you're done with us. I still don't understand how you thought that up. Can't get along with differences, but no one thinks the same. No, I don't need anyone at all. If only I played into your games. The Bible man with no one left to blame. Well, I couldn't keep your secret, so you raised your hands and ran. No, I don't need anyone at all. No, I don't need anyone at all. swore I needed you, but now I know I never needed anyone of you. No, I never needed anyone at all. No, I don't need anyone at all. That's that.
This is Karli Webster. I always ruin the ending because it's like this beautiful moment. But follow Karli at Karli Webster Music and watch out for her new EP coming out soon.
Yeah.
And thanks for watching, guys.